Hey up everybody and welcome back. Alright, we're going to press on today, but I've had a couple of thoughts about things that I'm going to do, and we'll be doing them this week, so I'm going to show you that. Box arrived with the indicators in. I haven't even opened it yet to look at them, and the sprocket and its slightly complicated carrier has arrived. And I know it's complicated because it cost me a lot more than I usually have to pay. I could have done the work myself, but to be honest, you know, they have the CNC things. I sent them a drawing and they made it exactly the way I wanted it. Or at least, I'm hoping. I haven't unpacked that yet either. So we'll press on with this. There, can you see it? Have a look. Just in case any of you wondered, I finally got that tank finished. So, looks pretty good. I think you'll be happy with that. Okay, so nothing much happened. Oh, if you remember last week's video, I mentioned at the start, I think it was, that I was going across the road to get some road gravel because of how bad it was outside the garage. Well, I went and got it and spread that around, solved the problem perfectly, and I'd got more than I needed in the tractor bucket, so I thought, okay, that's fine. I've got a little bit because we were expecting still more snow. I mean, it's the end of February, but we can get snow till April. So I parked the tractor up, and then we were due some more snow, so I thought I'd better nip out and just empty out the bucket so that I was ready to use the tractor for the next bit of snow. And I was going to put it on tarpaulin because, you know, the salt doesn't help with the concrete, particularly if it's wet. So I got out there, bugger me, it had set up like concrete in the tractor bucket. It took me over half an hour with a pick to get it out. So I wasn't best pleased about that. Alright, so nothing else to tell you. Oh, the more and more I walk around the bike, the more satisfied I am with that backlight. Might not be to everybody's taste, but when I put it on I felt as if it was this big, and now it's sort of got itself into somewhat more into scale with the rest of the bike. And scale is something we're going to talk about now, and a job I'm going to do. Again, don't know whether you'll like it, but I'm thinking of doing it. Oh, and I'll show you something else as well, just a quick thing. So let's get on with that. So at the weekend, when I was doing that paint, in between coats while it was drying, you may remember I had to fiddle on a bit to get the tank on here, where this is. I know I've got you in close, but it's to show you something. Well, it struck me that's because with that great big thing I'd made, there wasn't a lot of room for me to wobble this about. So I reworked it a little bit. There you go. What do you think of that? So it's got its flats. I just left it at 1 inch here and took it down to actually 5/8 there, so that I can wobble the tank about a little bit. So I think that's much better. Alright, let me show you what I have been thinking about. Right now, this has a dual saddle on it. And sort of the way I'm building this to be used, I don't ever think there'll ever be a pillion passenger on it. So I was looking at it and I suddenly thought maybe I should shorten it. Now the foam and the cover for this is about $170, something of that order. So I thought if I remade this base and took it to that really good upholsterer, it wouldn't charge me anymore for him to get it looking nice. So I was thinking about that. I thought, yeah, all right then. So let's say I sort of shorten it there, just make it a nice big sort of single saddle. What about this bit of space here? So I got thinking about it, and again got thinking about possible use for it. I suddenly thought what would be nice would be behind it just a little rack, you know. So if you're going off for the day on your bike, you can put your sandwiches on it. Pork pie, thermos flask, whatever. So thinking about that, and what I discovered. So anyway, what I'm going to do, I've decided, is I'm going to take a piece out of this, so that I've still got the nice round back, and I've got the edge for the upholstery to work on. This has those little pressed things where you pull them, sort of like a tooth on the inside. You pull it round and then let it hook on. So you pull it right tight round here, and then when you let it go, it catches on the hook. Well, he'll put clips on, so I'll probably just knock all those in. But anyway, as I said, what I'm going to do is cut a section out and then just weld the tail end onto there. It does slim down slightly, but not much, so that'll be fine. So thinking along those lines, I started to look at this, and I found something very useful. That won't work. Shoot, I haven't taken this. What I was going to say is, this is 3/4 tube, and this, the width, is the same radius, diameter I suppose really, but they talk about radiuses in the bending, as the piece I have for the tube bender, the die, for 3/4 inch tube. So better than I did with the front, I could just make a 180-degree loop and it would fit onto that. But what I was thinking was, I'd make another loop on here and then put some pieces in, but of course this is in the way, so got to rethink that. Oh, the other thing that came was the little flasher unit. So alright, let me think about that. Right then, this is the plan. As I say, I've got a couple of these, and with the others, this chrome has shot. So looks like a rivet actually in each side that holds this in there, and it's actually got a little plastic sort of sleeve. So what I'm going to do is drill the rivet out, take this out, because apart from anything else, chrome is bugger to try and paint over, even if you sand it and rough it and all the rest of it. So take that out. We will make a new loop, which will be, I can cut at an angle, weld on, so it'll be vertical here. Then we'll make another loop. What was I thinking of? Of course, yeah, the saddle's going to come to here. So we're going to make another loop, which I will weld onto this one. So I'll make the straight slightly taller. Come round like that. Then with 1/2 inch tube, we'll make it into a rack. And here, we'll put a little bracket on it, and we'll put a little bracket on the mudguard, because this is a heavy duty mudguard. It's got 2 bolts here, 2 bolts there. It's bolted down the front, and it's bolted 2 bolts to this thing. So if you like, the rack will be cantilevered off this, so I can put it on, fine, and then we'll just put a little vertical piece which will bolt at the top and bolt at the bottom, and that will be the support for it there. Maybe 2, to just make it a little more symmetrical, and so it doesn't have a chance to do this. But that, I think, will just, as I say, just a little rack. Doesn't have to be a big one. I mean, I could make it a little longer, because I could take this further back. I could take that at an angle, take it a little further back, whatever. And then the other saddle will be yay big. And I think that will make it all look much better. The size of the tank and everything, I think the shorter saddle. If any of you have been on my website, or I don't know, is it in the opening credits? I can't remember. I built a Yam 650 engine into an XT500 frame, and the same thing there. I had a brand new XT500 saddle, but it just looked too big, it didn't fit in. So I used one off, I think it was a DT175, and that just made it perfect. So that's what we're going to do now. So let's do the saddle base first. Right, now we're a little fortunate here in that these are the rear mounts for the saddle. As I say, it's not the type that has the pieces that come down and slot behind this bolt. So what I'm thinking is a saddle that comes to about there, not here, like that. So let's have a look, see here. A lot of talk this week, isn't there? Where we're going to cut it out. I could cut it there, which is 10 3/4, and I want to take out about 8 inches. See there, it's only 10 inches wide. I mean, I could just cut it and put a new, well, little strip on, but it'd be nice, much nicer if I could just take a chunk out of this, bring this forward, do it that way. So that's the plan anyway. Let me measure it a bit more. Right, well, cut that off. I had to cut it back a little bit further to get this curve up. But now that leaves us probably about 1/4 of an inch on each side. So I think what I'll have to do is cut that across, put a couple of little darts in just to get it to match up. That's not going to be that difficult. And I had a thought about this. What I think I'll do is I'll pull out one of the other ones, and instead of prattling around, I'm going to cut that off completely. Put this vertically here. Make it much better. Still put in a gusset plate for the indicators. Oh, hang on. Indicators. Open that box. So they're going to go on, I said, the rubber type. Obviously they can't be too flexible or they'll be flopping about all over. But anyway, that will go on there. You see now, that takes it a long way away from where you're sitting, where your legs are, all the rest of it. It's going to be as safe as houses there. So that will work. Yes. Right, so let me cut this and we'll see how it matches up. Right, well, cut this off, and see there, I cut that so that I've still got a nice curve, and that will go on there. Like that. So I'm going to cut these. Because it doesn't fit on that, but I need that for that. So, but that looks fine, I think. As always, you know, I was talking about compromise the other day. You try things and you forget that I could cut this like that. Actually, it doesn't need much, I don't think, to put the clips on. I'll ease a little bit off that. Let me go and do that. Right, so there it is. I've trimmed a little bit off, got it all lined up. We'll trim that like that on both sides. So I'm going to bring the welder over, tack this in a few places, and then I'll weld it right across. And then I'll cut these bits out. Right, let me get round here. So I've welded all that on. And I've done this side, put my little piece in, got it all right. Now that is going to go on there, like that. I think that'll be fine, because you really sat forward on this, you know. Let me put the tank up. Oh, the tank is on right. Okay, cut this back a little bit, I think. Yeah, I think that will work fine. And then we can have a nice, I don't know how much you can see there. Yeah, and we can have from there to there. I'll go straight up there, it'll be what, 10 inches long, be just nice. Okay, so let me set to and do the other, it's a bit fiddly. Right, well, I've been busy with other stuff for a couple of days, so you're probably going to have to put up with me repeating myself as I've forgotten what I've told you. So what's happened in the meantime? The correct hose came, so I've got that on. I do get comments occasionally about, you know, you should fasten this up here and there. Don't forget, this is our dry build to see where things fit. So yes, this will be very nicely fastened up. Don't worry about that. Other thing that came was my sprocket and its carrier. Now you'll see it's only got 1/4 inch holes here. That's because they phoned me up one evening and said, here, you didn't put the size of the holes there on the drawing. So I said, well, the important thing is the positioning, so drill them 1/4 inch and then I can open them out, because I'm pretty sure they were 8mm and I think they are. The other thing I'll just mention for those of you in the US, get these done at Sprocket Specialists, or in, are they in California? Maybe not, maybe Oregon or somewhere. Anyway, they're out west. Not only do they make really nice stuff, but as I said, this, I sent them a drawing. I got 3 phone calls from them. One to clarify the drawing. One, the chap who runs the place phoned me back and said, here, understand the drawing and everything, but I don't see where the sprocket is registered. I've got an idea. Great. And then finally, the chap that was making it phoned me up and said, hey, you haven't put the dimensions on for this. They're really good. You know, if they're not sure what's what, they'll get in touch with you. They won't just send you something and you think, damn, I forgot to mention that, or it's wrong, whatever. So we'll be putting that on. Right, the last thing I did was, just get it here. Got the seat all finished. I welded up all those little triangular holes, everything like that. And funnily enough, it suddenly struck me, hang on while I get these things on here. Come on now, come on, come on. The size of it, I pulled the cloth off the Yamasaki, and it's basically the same size as an MX saddle. So I could have bought one of them, but they're expensive. Again, the cover and the foam would be getting on for a couple of $100 probably. So we'll carry on with our plan. And actually the MX one is a big, it's just a lump. It's about yay thick and it looks like a brick. So I'm going to get this made nice and thickly, but I'm going to ask him to, you know, say we make it 3 inches thick, to have the 3 inches follow that contour, so it'll kick up a little bit at the back. Right? So that's on nicely. Now the other thing is, I've been thinking and thinking and thinking about how to do this rack. As I say, I might be repeating myself here. I was thinking of cutting this off completely, putting a new loop on here vertically, and then I was thinking, do I want the raised part to stop things falling off being at the back, because generally they're at the front and then the rack goes that way. And do I want this to be made round to keep it looking nice, or do I want it with square corners? So I'm still thinking about that a little bit, and in fact I've been thinking about this the last couple of days. So let's look into that a bit more and we'll start working on that. I've got another 2 of these, and as I say, the chrome's, well, this chrome is brilliant. I think what I'll do first is we'll take this out of here. Right, so let me take this off the bike. Right then, this loop is just held in both sides by what look like a couple of pop rivets. So let me drill them out. So I've taken that out of there. It didn't have little plastic bushes actually, they're just little, I guess, to stop the weather getting in, which they didn't quite. But as I say, it was just pop riveted. Now then, I measured there the size from outside to outside of the die for my 3/4 inch tubing, which is what this is 8 1/4. And I've just measured this, it's 8 1/2. So tiniest little tweak, or not going a full 180 degrees, and that would fit on there, a curve would fit on there perfectly. Now then, the seat is going to be about that thick. Actually, what I was saying about the MX seat, it's almost that thick. Can you imagine what that looks like? That short, that thick. With some good form, that'll be comfortable enough. So that is going to stick up there like that. So, if we come out here, now our rack of course has to be that high, and then we'll make a nice little piece under it, but it's got to be detachable because this loop has got to be able to go on like that. So as I said, this is going to come up. I think it would look nicer sloped than coming up straight. I can come out, where are we? Would be about there, look. So it'll come up and it'll cantilever that way. So you can just slide this on and then put your little piece in there. In fact, you could have your little piece already bolted into there. Just slide that onto it and we'll have it tapped at the top going. I think I only need one. I don't think I need two. Or would it be better to have two? All of these things we'll think about. That's the very last thing. So, if we make a loop for here, do we make a loop for there, or do we keep that straight? Where's that thing? Because I've got a feeling that's about the size of the loop we'd get. Now would that look, in fact that would be about the size of the thing. Would that look odd, rounded like that? What I don't want to have really is a square corner. Because you're going to be sitting down here, it's going to be really close to your bum, you don't want to be catching yourself on that. Just a nice part of that curve. It'd be nice if we could sort of turn that in like that, but the die won't do it. Well, that die won't, and about $250 a die. Oh, I had a comment likening me to Fred Dibner. I tell you what, I start to feel funny and get that icy grip round my balls when I'm on top of a step ladder. How I climbed up shore tanks and all that sort of stuff when I was working, I don't know. Alright, so let me give this a little bit more thought. Maybe I will... See, that's actually a tight fit in that. Does give us a view of it. What do you think? Should I make it a highish rack or a really low rack? Let me sit and look at it. Right, I'm getting locked into one thought process again. Tubes. Just had a thought. What a nice sheet of alloy. Now then, I just spent ages cutting that out and I realised I've done them the wrong way around. I meant them to be lengthwise, but actually on the dimensions I made them crosswise. But this way, you see, I can have my nice rounded corners. What we'll do is we'll put about a, I don't know, maybe a ½ inch lip, which will strengthen it all up. And although I don't want to make a press tool to dimple all of these, I think I can make up a simple way of just, you know, folding these in. So that'll go on there like that. I've already put that in to hold it in place. What I'm thinking of doing is making a couple of little pieces to come sort of up to here with the ends done at the right angle, and then a piece across. We could bolt that to it there, and I think make a couple of mountings back here for it. Polished alloy. I think that's big enough, as I say, enough to put your pork pie and your flask on it, your thermos, or here your 6-pack of Bud. God, that stuff is crap. I think that'll work. I don't know whether to do it. See, if I do the slots that way, it'll be a little more rigid because the pieces in between won't be as long to flex. 1/2-inch mill, put it on the milling machine, 1/2-inch mill, bzz, zonk, bzz, zonk, bzz, zonk. It's not a big job. I think I'll make it out of 1/8. Yeah, let's do that. Let's cut some alloy and make that. So there's some 1/8-inch alloy plate cut out and marked out with the slots going the other way. Now, how I've squared it up is I've put, actually it's the thing for, well, you can't see, it's the thing for guiding a tap in, but it goes to a very fine point. So I've been able to set that, you see, there, and then I wind that across like that. And it goes right down the centre of the line all the way. And then as a second check, I can do it that way, and the same thing. It goes right down the centre of the line. So let me take that out, put a 1/2-inch mill in, we'll do these slots. So here we are set up. I've written down how much I'm going to move, 1.75 inches, then to 3.5, then to 5.25, then to 7, and roughly it's 6.5 inches from front to back. And I've set the DRO to 0. set the readout on the quill as well, just so I know how far to go down. back to zero. There's the first 2 slots done. Alright, so let me press on and do the other 3. Right then, I am pleased with that. Do you know what, I really like this finish that the DA sander gives to alloy. Anyway, that is going to go on like that. Thereabouts. And I think this is going to be strong enough. I don't think I need a lip. I don't think I need to turn the edges of that over. That is really strong. Be a bloody heavy pork pie that bends that. Big Mowbrays. Pork and onion. Square pork and onion pies. I love them. Can't get pork pies here, you know. In fact, you can't get meat pies. Last pork pie I had was when I was in Canada a few years ago. Anyway. So that is good. So now then, he wants me, by the time that's back here, I wonder if I can put a, see, I'd like that to be vertical so I can just, whatever we put in there, we drill and tap it and then I can bolt it down. Do that easily there. Right. Let's go and have a cheese sandwich. Now I was thinking how I was going to mount this, and I thought I'd put a couple of little things on here for it to bolt to, and I thought no, because if I put some things on here and then somebody wants to put the dual saddle on, they'll have to saw them off. So we're going to mount it on the mudguard, and what I've done, actually I've countersunk these holes and I don't have any long enough countersinks, but what I've made is an alloy spacer. Hang on. Well, 2 obviously, and then a threaded steel spacer. Right, so there's 2 of them. So what we're going to do, for a little bit of an angle on the bottom, we are going to weld them, well, bronze them to the mudguard. Right, and then we'll make a mount in here which will be bolt up, so that way they'll come off easily. This will only have a couple of bits sticking up, so that, you know, you take 4 bolts out, this will lift off. There'll be these 2 little metal things on there which are no problem. In fact, the seat will go over them if somebody wants to put a dual saddle on. Everything will be fine. Okay, so let me mark these bits, screw the other one on and mark it how much of an angle I want, and then I'll go and sand that off. Right then, so there they are, bronzed on. So let's see what we've got here. Goes on there. goes on there. Whoops. Now what I was aiming for, excuse me, was to get this roughly parallel with that. So, what have we got here? We've got 4 3/4. Oh, we've got 4 3/4. It's better than I thought it would be. So, there we go. And yep, saddle will come up, it's not in the way. So all we've got to do now is work out a little doodad, and as I say, I think we can make that curve like that. So this last bit, the last half, I'm starting to sound like Arkwright. The last ½ inch of it, that's just ice falling off the roof. It's warm today. So I can just screw straight into there. Man, I'm pleased with that. Alright. Of course, as usual, took longer than I thought, so now it's time to knock off. Right, so rear mounts. Just struck me that you might be thinking 2 things. One, why don't I weld that to this? I may well do that before I'm finished. The other thing is, why don't I just make up 2 more of them for here and do away with that? Well, because I want to mount the indicators here. So I'm going to need something on this piece of, on this frame loop, or this mudguard loop I suppose I should say, so might as well just leave that there. Alright, now then, I took the loop, the chromed loop out of one of the crappy ones, cut a piece off. I'll give it a good roughing up, I'll rough it up even more so that hopefully the paint will stick when I paint this. But the plan is to put that in there to a point where that is virtually vertical. You notice as it goes down, it gets to being almost vertical. I'm not sure if it will work. I've got to cut and try, but if I can get that like that, you see that looks nice. Then what we'll do is into the end of it, I'll make up a little piece to go in, like a little top hat, so that it's got a top piece. Drill and thread that, and then we'll pop that in, weld it up, and when that's in there, that'll be the support for that. Alright, so let me see if I can fathom out which bit gives me what I need. Right, I marked it. Oh, pardon me. I marked this to where I thought it would be. I cut a little bit off here because it was harder to push it all the way in. So when that comes up, that is now nice and flat against that. I think that looks fine. It's going to come out just in this corner, which is alright. So what I'm going to do now is make about a ½ inch piece to fit in there. Right? And then drill and tap it. 1/4 inch fine. So there's our little piece made. All we've got to do now is put that in there. We're going to bronze it in. We've got a nice end for it to sit on. So let's go and try that and see what's what. Right, so that's going to go on there. Oh, I've got to tighten these up, hang on. I like to slacken these up to get that to have enough space to get it in and out. Tighten them up. And that's going to go up there nicely like that. So what we'll do is we'll drill it, bolt it, and then we'll bronze that there. So the drilling bit is the next tricky piece. So I think what I'm going to do to find out where the hole should be is put that on there, measure from the edge, hang on, can you see this? Just about. Measure from the edge of that to the tube. And then I know how far the hole's going to be from that, because it's going to be half the width of the tube, half the diameter of the tube. I can mark it on there, and then I can measure to it from this end easy enough. And then, fingers crossed, we'll drill a hole and it should be in the right place. And then, as I say, once we got that hole drilled, I'll go and bronze this up now. We'll hold that in place with the bolt and bronze that. So let's drill a hole. So, the moment of truth, because I've drilled a hole. Bronzed that piece on there. Let's stick that in there. Tighten these up. It's funny actually, the one thing that I always envy when I'm watching people make stuff is when they measure where a hole should be, mark it out, drill it, and then it's actually in the right spot. It always amazes me. Anyway, we shall see what we shall see. Oh, I don't believe this. Hey, I'm getting the hang of this, people. I don't think that looks very bad. Yes, I like that. That's much better than if I'd put it up straight or if I'd mounted it on the mud guard or anything like that. So now I can just bronze that in there and make up one for the other side. Right, well, there it is on. I had some short countersink ones. That one's got to be countersunk a little bit more. That one's flush. But I've been beavering. You notice there's a weld there. One of the things when you're working with old bikes is things generally aren't very straight. Plus, to be honest, some of the things BSA made weren't straight when they left the factory. But anyway, I got all this done nicely. When I get over here, this hole was nowhere near where it should be. And when I checked, this piece and the piece on the other side were at different angles and everything. So what I did to get round it was I actually marked the holes, drilled them, made a couple of slots, and then moved these things around until they were in there perfectly flat bolted, and then I welded them up. So couldn't rely on things being equal. But everything is on, and once a couple of welds are dressed up and what have you, everything will be fine. So I think the next thing I will do is cut these out and we'll make a nice rounded piece. And I'm going to do it on the outside, I think. Or should I do it on the... I'm trying to get that in there and not have too many wires or anything showing. So I'll cut it out and then I'll decide where I want to put the new plate, because as I say, I'm going to make it round and it's got to be a bit bigger to fit the indicator on. Hold on a second. Right, I've already actually shortened this one for the headlamp. These don't need to be shortened. So, see, it doesn't need to be much bigger, just needs to come out here. But as I say, rather than trying to cut a piece and make a joint along here, I'll just cut that out and make a brand new piece. Now, yeah, it's going to have to be on the outside, but if I put it on the outside and, as I say, make a piece going inwards, then you won't see the nut. It'll all be very nice, and that wire will just go straight under the mudguard and up to, I'll make a little clamp under there. That will be nice. Alright, once again, that's enough for today. I'll probably pop out for an hour or so on Saturday and try and do these bits. So I took this off and did the last bit of bronzing and welded things up, what have you. I cut these little plates out. These little plates were bronzed in. I don't know what sort of bronze they used, but by God, it played havoc with the TIG welder. So I've made up a little cardboard template And that's going to go on there like that. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is cut two of these identical, clamp them together so I can drill a hole through and it'll be the same. And then we'll put that on there. I think I like them on the outside, and then when I do the little piece here it'll look nice. Alright, let me go and cut some sheet. Now I've cut my two pieces of metal, but just something to mention is when you're doing it where you are going to be on the outside of something, don't forget that the amount of space on the inside is less than that. I mean, that's 3/4 inch tube, so there's 3/8 less here, and this is, I don't know, just maybe 5/8. So there's 5/16 less there. So make sure that the nut on the back is going to have enough space to be able to tighten it up. And the way I do that is I just get a socket, make sure, and if the socket will go on, then we're fine, right? So I've got this so that it's against this little thing here, and in the centre of there, yeah, and there's plenty of space. Alright, so let me get this first one bronzed on. Well, for those of you who like it warts and all, I've just had another bit of brain fade. I really am struggling with this project on stupid things. I haven't taken into account that this tube here, and I've just mentioned it, is a smaller diameter than that. So of course the bloody plate, I should have kicked it out. I should have put a tiny little bend on that plate at the bottom. This is getting very annoying. I'm not going to do anything with it. It's slightly out. I mean, it should be up like that. It's a fraction, and I'd have to start cutting and welding, and so we'll just carry on as we're going. Anyway, the reason I put it back on here was because all this bronzing could well pull these over and my holes would be out. So I wanted to check that before I put the final little piece in. So let me take it all back off and we'll make a little bit to go in there on each side. And there's the first piece put in. So that'll have sort of hard stuff behind it. Oh, that's a lot. And that's as much as I've got time for this week. Looking at the clock, I've got to go. And it is Saturday, so until next week, when I'll have finished the other side of this and possibly drilled the headlights. I think maybe next week we're going to look at the silencer. Alright, so until then, stay safe and enjoy yourselves.